Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am here to go over a Martin Luther King Day 12-game NBA slate. Gotta love it. 12 games throughout the day, starting at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, and it'll be at least 12 hours of continuous basketball, so you gotta absolutely love that. I'm jumping in here late evening the night before so that we can get all this information out to you, get the podcast posted. So if anybody has a chance to listen to it tonight or in the morning, it'll give you a good heads up on the slate. So we'll be going over all 12 games. Unfortunately, the three sites, especially Draftkings, just made a debauchery of how they're setting this card up. You've got a main slate in the evening, but you've got all the games broken up into threes and then five on DraftKings, a poor selection of contests on FanDuel for the all day. Just very disappointing with the way the sites handled these contests, but it is what it is. They want to get the extra rake, I guess, with all these contests. Greed is not always good, but the bottom line is all 12 games are in play. You could play multiple different kinds of contests on the three sites, and we'll give you a good heads up on these games jumping in. It's been a difficult weekend here at Coach Talk. I am not a happy camper, just rough couple of days. And, we always cheer on wins and great finishes and big totals, and that's all great. We're going to have long stretches of hot streaks and everything else. But it's just been, one of those scenarios where it has not gone our way the last few days. We had the injury to DeRozan. Then the next night we had the injury to Levine, not DeRozan, I'm sorry, Levine. And then after that, Kevin Durant. And then we had Fox get tossed out of the game today. So it's been a little bit frustrating, but that changes very quickly, and it's easy to talk about when you get stung by those things, but when stuff falls your way, then people forget to mention that. So we're not going to do that here. We're always going to shoot straight with you for sure, but that variance is going to head our way. I'm speaking it to truth. I mentioned it in Discord. Starting tomorrow with this 12-game slate, things are going to fall our way. I have total confidence in it. And I'd be, I don't even know what to say. I would be not a stand-up person if I didn't mention this Cowboys loss today. I know I was hooting and hollering about them prior and on the last pod and in Discord. And man, what a disappointing loss. So back to the drawing board for them. It eliminates my interest in NFL now. Of course, we've got our incredible NFL team working with Andrew, Omaha Joe, and of course, Crash Davis. They're doing a great job, and they're going to see us through all the playoffs, all the way through the Super Bowl. So it'll be fun to see those guys get it done. All right, not a lot of time to lose here. We've got 12 games. We're going to touch on all of them. Because it's the night before, we do have lines on the games, but we do not have the totals yet. So you can check back in on those. And then as far as back-to-back games, nobody on a second night of a back-to-back, and we do have the Knicks on the first night of a back-to-back. There's only a 2-game slate on Tuesday, but the Knicks are one of them. All right, we're diving in, and it's going to be pretty concise here. We're going to get through these. We want to give you a good solid start on your build. All right, first game, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Pelicans at 16-27 at the Boston Celtics at 22-22. Injuries: Zion Williamson out, Marcus Smart out. Right now, the spread on the game is Boston -6. Which is pretty low, actually. I thought it would be a little higher than that. Defensively, we'll see if Boston can shut them down. But pace-wise, let's talk about that first. Pelicans 21st, Boston 24th. So not expecting a big total, not good pace in this game. And we'll see if it's going to stay as close as the spread says. Pelicans do not defend well. They're 25th. Boston, however, a top 5 defensive efficient team at 5th. So you've got a couple of different options here. Certainly with the Pels, you can always look at Ingram, but certainly with Brown and Tatum defense, it makes it a little bit tough. You can go more value with the Josh Hart or Herb Jones. If you also want to buy up, you got the potential with Joe Val, who's very hit or miss as well. So not my favorite game on the slate by any stretch. I do think a few of the Boston guys, you can always go to either Brown or Tatum if you want to spend up. Certainly they're, facing a poor defensive team. So either one of them could go off for a big number. So choosing the right one in this spot is the key. I think I'd lean actually, and I normally don't, but a little more to Jaylen Brown based on the matchup than Jason Tatum. After that, Horford has not been consistent whatsoever. Williams' price is a little bit too high for me. All right, game 2, it's 1 o'clock, 30 minutes later, 1 o'clock game. Charlotte Hornets at 23-20 against the New York Knicks at 22-21. We've got Oubre still out for Charlotte. We have a questionable tag on Kemba Walker. Noel, Reddish, and Rose are out. Statistically speaking, huge pace-up game for the Knicks because Charlotte's the second fastest-paced team in the league. Gigantic pace-down game for Charlotte because the Knicks are the slowest team in the league. So that does affect some things here. Knicks are 12th in defense, above average. Hornets, not so much, 26th. So you've got a situation here. Again, it's like that pretty much for anybody playing the Hornets. But for the Knicks, you can't get in a much better situation as far as playing pace up or playing against a poor defense. So it does bring some guys into play here. We do need to know news on Kemba Walker. If he's still out, Alec Burks certainly a good play. Fournier, when he gets hot, can really be a strong play, but very, inconsistent with that big number. He usually only does it against the Celtics. RJ Barrett has been terrific, and I think he's a solid play. Julius Randle, his price is leaked down little bit by little bit. And, possibly a Mitch Robinson, but they're getting, they're going to get Taj Gibson backing him up. And if they go small, they'll have Julius play center. But it does help that Noel is out. By the way, the Knicks are actually a 2-point favorite here. So it should be a pretty good, a pretty close game, and certainly some good pace up for these Knicks. And, I don't know if you really want to go more than 2 guys from any team, considering we have 24 of the 30 teams participating. But depending on which slate you're playing, if you're playing one of the first, for example, 3-game slate on DraftKings, I think 2 Knicks would be very, very good play. On the Charlotte side, LaMelo Ball definitely has woken up a little bit more lately. He's producing a lot better. He's in play. And then Terry Rozier, hit or miss. He can definitely be a slate breaker at times, just as Gordon Hayward is in the same boat. And then Miles Bridges, his prices come down a little bit at a time, but certainly, he has tailed off with his performance in the last about 3 weeks. So a little bit more risky there. And then, after that, a lot of rotation with bigs, with PJ and Mason, etc. So possibly, if you want to buy up for one of the Hornets, it's a bit of a risk, but it should be a close game. But I really do like the Knicks side in this matchup. It is the first night of a back-to-back for the Knicks. Like I said, it's the only team on the slate in that situation. Will that affect things? It's Tibbs. He's going to play his guys, so I would not worry about that in the least. All right, game 3, 2 o'clock start. They did stagger, and we're going to have just constant basketball. I absolutely love it. Philadelphia is 25-17. It's a 2 p.m. game against the Washington Wizards, 22 and 21. So a very good matchup here. Interesting game. Beal is questionable for Washington. That's massive news, of course, because if he's in, certainly playable, but if he's out, it definitely brings the stock up on Dinwiddie and Kuzma, especially. Those two guys get a nice usage bump if Beal sits again. For Philly, Green, Milton, Simmons, and Thibault are all out. Philadelphia's a 3-point favorite. They are 27th in pace, Washington 22nd. So not a good matchup in that sense. Defensively, Philadelphia just improving a little bit each time. They're now up to 14th defensively. So they're in the upper half. Washington has sunk all the way to 23rd. Playable guys here, with the guard shortage, you certainly can go Maxey, Curry, and even Korkmaz if you want to go a little cheaper. The pay-up guys have some definite push here. Tobias Harris and especially Joel Embiid, but a big price to pay for him in a really pace that's not conducive to a lot of possessions or extra DFS points. Again, Washington, we have to just wait and see what that news is on Beal because that shuffles things quite a bit. Not interested in the center rotation now that they have Thomas Bryant back. But, Kuzma, Beal, Dinwiddie, depending if Beal's in, all can be discussed here. Next game, 3 o'clock. So they continue to play about every 30 minutes here. It's good stuff. Interesting game. You're going to have your chalkiest guy, probably one of the chalkiest guys on the slate in this one. But it's, again, 3 o'clock game. Brooklyn Nets 27 and 15 at the Cleveland Cavaliers 26 and 18. Who'd believe that they'd be right there neck and neck with Brooklyn? You've got LaMarcus Aldridge is probable. Our buddy Nicholas Claxton, questionable. And then, of course, KD is out a good 6 to 8 weeks with that knee injury. Joe Harris, Johnson, and Millsap are also out. For Cleveland, Lamar Stevens, questionable, and Rajon Rondo is out. Interesting game here, interesting matchup. Brooklyn's 12th in pace, Cleveland 23rd, but you have two top 10 defenses. 10th for Brooklyn, 3rd for Cleveland. So an interesting game. Again, as far as who I was alluding to earlier, for chalk is James Harden. Without Kevin Durant, he certainly becomes a very strong play. However, it's a road game in Ohio and Cleveland, so they do get Kyrie Irving, who may also be a little chalky, certainly a bit cheaper here than Harden, and also a great option. I think you could feel very comfortable in either direction there, but certainly not both with Cleveland's stout third-ranked defense. If you want to go on the cheap, you can try your hand at Bembry and Edwards. We're going to get some Sharp, but he'll be splitting time with Aldridge, so that takes a little bit of punch away from him for sure. But, mainly it's going to be either Harden or Irving for me. I think that's the best place to focus here. On the Cleveland side, Darius Garland's been terrific. And, he has been a key guy in their rotation. So without Rondo backing him up, I think he's certainly an option here. I like the pace of play, and Brooklyn's defense is tailed off just a bit. So Garland in play, he is expensive, but you can consider him. Other than that, really the only two guys that I believe worth mentioning are the two bigs. And it could be a tougher matchup for Brooklyn here, being shorthanded. But you've got Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. I think both guys are definitely a possibility to roster. Would not roster both, but I think you could go either direction. Again, I favor Mobley slightly here just because of the matchup aspect of things at the power forward. I think Brooklyn, like I say, will have a little difficulty there. Jared Allen loves to play against his old team, Brooklyn. He usually puts in a good performance. So if you've still got, even though he's played him a bunch of times, that revenge factor narrative, Allen certainly falls into that category. But he has played him a bunch of times, so I don't know how much that's really in play. But certainly, like I say, his statistics against Brooklyn are strong. All right, we move to the 3:30 game. It's the Indiana Pacers at LA Clippers. Pacers are 15-28. Clippers are 21-23. We've got Malcolm Brogdon questionable. What else is new? He's always questionable, never seems to play. He's got a sore Achilles, so I don't blame him. But, the question is either shut him down or play him. But this, possibly he practices, then he sits out. So we don't know. So that news is definitely in doubt. I think, though, I know this is going out on a limb and I have no proof of that, but I think Brogdon plays. That's I've got him in my initial projections here. Brogdon and Lamb are questionable. McConnell, Turner, and Warren are out for Indiana. For the Clippers, you've got a questionable tag on Winslow, Kennard doubtful, and George, Leonard, and Preston are out. Pacers play at the 18th pace, Clippers 15th, so slight bit below average. Indiana 21st defensively, Clippers 4th, so strong defense on their side. If Brogdon plays, it definitely shakes the kettle here a little bit. It makes definitely Levert, his usage goes down a little bit. You've got Justin Holiday, who's been very inconsistent. It looks like the possibility of Torrey Craig could get a start in place of Turner that's sitting out. But Sabonis really is the target here. I think he's going to be pretty popular as well, and deservedly so. Clippers do have the 4th defense, so I don't want 100% Sabonis, but he has shown when he plays center and Turner's out, his numbers just jump way up. So I think he's a great option, certainly one of the pay up options on the slate, and definitely will be looking there. As far as the Clippers go, you've seen quite a bit of sharing the ball here. Nobody's jumped out, with George being out. It's Jackson's been decent. Coffey's been up and down. Marcus Morris at times has been good, but his price has gone up. That makes it a little bit tough. Batum also, at a cheap price could be a good play. Again, Indiana's defense isn't real strong. So wouldn't mind having a team from each side here. Clippers are only favored by 2. So, it's Vegas is expecting this to be a close game. All right, we go to game number 6. Halfway through here, once we get this game in, it's a 3:30 game, just like the last one. And it is the Chicago Bulls at 27-14 against the Memphis Grizzlies at 30-15. You've got a lot of guys out for Chicago. They've really been stung here. Lonzo Ball, Caruso, Cook, Green, Jones, Levine, and Williams all out. So we're definitely digging deep here on Chicago. Grizzlies have Pons questionable, Dylan Brooks, and Tilly remain out. So let's look statistically here. Chicago's 16th in pace, Memphis 5th. So good pace up for Chicago and some of these value guys coming off the bench that are now starting. Defensively, Chicago 17th and Memphis 8th. So Chicago not, even though they're playing great, they're not defending as well as they were. So Memphis, on the other hand, has improved into the top 10. And in the last 2 months, they've been first in the league defensively. So that's a bit of a concern. Kobe White, great play, and DeMar DeRozan, great play, in my opinion. Vukovic also is going to get a lot of activity, a lot of ownership. Those 3 guys that's pretty much everything they've got. They're going to be using a mixture of their bench, guys like Dosunmu, McKinney. Those guys are going to get decent minutes, and then they'll be plugging all kinds of guys in to fill minutes. But very tough not to go with maybe even a combination of Kobe and DeRozan, or if you want to sub one of those in for Vuk. But I think this is a good team to look at here. Memphis is favored by 6, which is solid, and certainly they are much more healthy with only Brooks being out of their rotation. But Chicago, they've gotten completely blown out a few times in a row, and I think that's scaring people from rostering their guys. But if they keep this game, within what Vegas thinks, even close to that, 10 or under, then it's going to be because DeRozan, White, and Vuk combined for a lot. So I'm more interested there than I think a lot of people will be. Certainly Ja Morant, monster pay-up guy. He could be phenomenal in this game, especially if it stays close. Bane has been a guy we've rostered a lot. Zaire Williams looks good, man. I'm really impressed with the rookie there. He's cheaper, and if he gets good rotational minutes like he has been since Brooks has been out, he's a playable guy for me. Jackson, hard to trust. Adams, he's been somewhat hurt, so his minutes have been somewhat sliced up a little bit. But for me, you either pay up, I think, for Morant, Bane, or go with Williams as a value. So I like this game. I know it's not going to have the biggest total, but I think it has a lot of potential. All right, 6 games to go real quickly. If you want to join us, it's dfscoachtalk.com. We have tremendous deals right now. Our 4 sports special goes from the day you sign up all the way through the end of the NBA playoffs, which is June 16th. You get all of our NBA, all of our NFL playoffs and Super Bowl, the entire Major League Baseball. Hopefully they play from when the first pitch all the way until middle of June. And then our golf every week, which was really fun watching that this evening. Matsuyama, just unbelievable, man, on 18 in the playoffs, stuck a 3-wood to 2 feet from 282 out. Unbelievable. But anyway, all of those 4 sports are part of that 4 sports special. If you want to just dip your toe in and try us out 3-day for $10, we'd love to have you jump in. All right, 6 more to go. Milwaukee Bucks. This is a 6 p.m. game. So we're now into the last 6 games on the slate. This is sort of that tweener game at 6. It's the Milwaukee Bucks and Atlanta Hawks. The Bucks are 27-18. Atlanta is 17-25. Just a really disappointing team. Out for Milwaukee, Galloway, Holiday, and Lopez. Out for Atlanta, Bogdanovich and Capella. As far as statistically, Milwaukee 13th in pace, Atlanta 20th. So very average there. Milwaukee's 9th defensively. Atlanta not defending well at all. They're 28th. So is Giannis an option here? It's possible. Milwaukee's only an initial 4-point favorite, which seems extremely low, the way Atlanta's been playing. But Giannis is a big ticket. It's hard to pay that, in a game like this that Milwaukee could handle, in my opinion. But certainly a great pay-up option. He always is. And, he can do it in limited minutes if need be. Other guys, you may want to look at here, Chris Middleton and Bobby Portis. They're always the second and third guy right now in the mix, especially with Holiday out. Those guys a little bit more affordable, not cheap though, but certainly options if you don't go with Giannis. On the Atlanta side, Trae Young, another fine option for a pay-up. If you want to, grab both pay-ups here and go Giannis Young, you can do that. But again, this game isn't on all the slates. It just depends which site you're playing. Other than that, DeAndre Hunter's back. He didn't do much the last game. You've got John Collins, who's been solid, but he's got Giannis defense. And then you get somewhat of a split at center with Jang and Okongwu, and they may even go small at times with Collins at center. So a tough call on any of those guys. Kevin Huerter should get more minutes now that Bogdanovich is out again, and he's pretty cheap as well. All right, we're into the main slate. The last 5 games and it's the main slate on all 3 sites. 7 o'clock, Portland 17-25, Magic 8-36. As far as questionable tag, Norman Powell, important piece there. CJ Ellaby is doubtful. We know Lillard, Nance, and Zeller are out. But the big news is CJ McCollum is back. So the question is, he had the collapsed lung. How much is he going to play? I've got to think he's on a minutes restriction, but it does take a big piece out of the Simons being such a strong play. And it even really, touches Covington and Nurkic a little bit. Covington had a break the slate kind of game last time out. So Powell, it's important to know if he's in, because then that really disperses some of that usage, with McCollum and Powell back in if he does play. For Orlando, Wendell Carter Jr. out, MCW, Fultz, Isaac, and Moore all out. Orlando's been a weird team, though, for sure. Hard to really put your finger on what they're doing there. Not playing great basketball is one thing I can tell you they are doing. As far as pace in this game, you've got Portland 19th, Orlando 14th. So not a super fast game. However, terrible defense. Portland 30th, worst team defensively in the league. Orlando 24th. So, let's get the news on Powell. I would not go CJ McCollum just yet. Like I say, Simons, if Powell plays and McCollum and Powell are back, I'm not going to go there. Covington is still cheap enough, but, you don't want to chase that game from the last time, chase those points. And Nurk's been okay. He's disappointed a lot. He's been super high owned lately and just been okay. So not crazy about that side of the ball. On the Orlando side, I'm a little frustrated with this team as well. I've played Cole Anthony a lot, Chuma Okeke, Franz Wagner, a little Mo Bamba, with Carter being out, but they're just not playing good ball. Now, you would think this is a perfect place to play him. Portland's only a 1-point favorite. It's an at-home game for Orlando. And, I hate to say that I haven't been disappointed and these guys have not been getting to their number, but I do think Orlando's in play here. It just makes sense. I don't know if I want to pay all the way up for Cole Anthony. Franz Wagner, I think, is a decent play. His prices come way down. But Okeke and Bamba are the ones that get my attention the most. Bamba did not start the last game. He came off the bench. I have him penciled in to start and get some extra minutes because he had missed some time. So I think that those guys can definitely be considered. And somehow, some way, it looks like I'm going to have some Orlando Magic exposure once again. All right, another 7. Oh, actually, it's the only 7:30 game on the board. It's the Toronto Raptors at 21-19 at the Miami Heat 27-16. You've got Gary Trent questionable, Kem Birch and Goran Dragic out for Toronto. For Miami, Bam is questionable. He may play in this game, back from that thumb injury. I would assume they're going to, not give him a full workload right off the bat. So another guy that's going to hurt other people's production, but not somebody that I'm willing to roll out there just yet. The other big news for Miami, Lowry's out, along with Morris, Okpala, and Oladipo. As far as pace, Toronto's 25th, Miami 28th. So this is not going to be a fast-paced game by any stretch. Miami is favored by 3.5, which is a pretty low total number again here. But I think, that may drift up a little bit with the fact that Butler's playing and Bam is more than likely back. Defensively, Toronto 19th, Miami 7th. So, where do you go here? Fred VanVleet, extremely expensive. but we have to see, if Trent's going to play. That would help a little bit of usage for Van Vliet, but the other guys are back: Anunoby, Barnes, and Siakam. So a lot of usage spread around here, not the best pricing, and you've got a good Miami defense. So not targeting Toronto in this matchup. On the Miami side, I think Jimmy Butler is a terrific play. He will get Anunoby defense, and Anunoby's good. He's played him fairly well, but the fact that there's no Lowry, you're going to be bringing Hero off the bench as always, but he'll get big minutes. And the fact Bam's back a bit, I think, Jimmy Butler is a great pay-up option as well. Again, you've got 24 to 30 teams, and there's all the great pay-up options in here. But Butler's definitely one of them. It's just the problem is the pace and the total on this game, I think, is going to be very low. So, do you take that chance that it does stay close enough and Butler has a big game? I'm not probably going to pull the trigger there, but I think he is a solid play. After that, really maybe Hero, although his price is fair, Hero would be the next option. If you want to go super cheap, you can go Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Duncan Robinson, someone like that, and maybe get to your number. Now, Yurtseven, who's been phenomenal, he's, going to lose some minutes to Bam. There's no question about it. So he's been priced up a little bit because he's played so well. But I think that party is over, at least for right now, with Bam being back. I'd love to see, honestly, if I was Spoelstra, and I haven't read this, I doubt they'll do it, but I'd love to see Bam at the 4 and Yurtseven at the 5. Can you imagine if they rolled a team out? If they wanted to start Hero, they could. But if they had Lowry, Hero, Butler, Adebayo, and Yurtseven, that sounds like a team that can make a deep run. But that's just me. All right, let's go to the next one. We've got 8:30 game, Oklahoma City Thunder at the Dallas Mavericks. The Thunder 14-28. Mavericks have been hot. They're 24-19. Out for Oklahoma City, Krejcik. I don't even know who this is. Vit Krejciki. That's definitely pronounced Krejcik. Krejci. I should know him. I think I know almost every player in the league, but that's a guy that slipped under my radar. But he's out, so who cares? Kenrich Williams also out. Dallas has nobody on their report, which is sort of amazing. But it is a little troublesome because that means they're going to be able to go a little bit deeper, and that is a concern. Plus, Dallas is a 10.5-point favorite and have been just shutting people down. It's been hard to roster DFS guys in any of the Mavericks games recently because they play so slow, they play such great D, and you're just not getting the possessions. And so it's been a lot of passing on these two, on the Dallas games. Thunder are 17th in pace. Dallas, second slowest team in the league at 29th. Thunder 18th, so they've maintained sort of close to the middle of the pack defensively, which is reasonable for a young team. Dallas is up to 6th, which is really amazing because they were 23rd 7 weeks ago. I looked it up. They were just 23rd and falling, giving up a ton of points. And in the last almost 2 months, the Grizzlies have been first and Dallas second by a long shot. It's not even close defensively. So those are two teams that you want to really steer away from their games as much as possible with the way they're defending. Again, I'm probably going to pass this game, but SGA, you can always talk about. Dort and Giddey, I think, are the other two possible plays. Dort a little bit cheaper. Those would be your 3 top options. Wouldn't recommend going any deeper than that. Luka is a tough pay up here. It's a big way long ways to go to pay up for him. Again, not really game conducive here to a lot of points, but Luka can do it like not too many guys in a short period of time. So, if you feel like he's the guy in this spot, I would not blame anybody for ever playing Luka, but I'm probably not going to go there, especially with the fact, You've got a Jalen Brunson playing well. Kristaps Porzingis is back, and he's going to have probably 30, 35-minute limit, which is a lot. I mean, that's usually what he plays anyway. So you're going to get a lot of usage from a lot of guys from Dallas and the potential for a blowout game with a double-digit spread here. So not a great game. All right, last two. We've got one more game at 8:30, and then we have 2 hours to wait for the 10:30 game. So we're actually going to be starting 12:30 p.m. in the afternoon, and we won't be done probably till 1:30 in the morning. So about 13 straight hours of nonstop NBA action with no breaks. The way they staggered all the games, you can literally watch. I may try to do it and watch the whole time. So we'll see how that rolls. Phoenix and San Antonio. Phoenix 33-9. Amazing. Spurs 16-27. We have questionable tags on DeAndre Ayton and Cam Johnson. We know that Kaminsky, Nader, and Sarge are out. For the Spurs, Trey Jones out. Phoenix, the sixth fastest team in the league, Spurs 9th. So you do have the potential for a decent total here with a 6 and a 9, two top 10 pace teams. Problem is Phoenix is the second best defensive team in the entire league and probably about to take over from the Golden State spot with the news that Draymond Green's going to be out another couple of weeks. So tough D for Phoenix. The spread right now that's listed that I have here is 4.5. I would take Phoenix minus 4.5 all day tomorrow and the next day against the Spurs. So again, these are the lines, the early lines that are out. I don't know if they're going to stick, and we don't have those totals. But Phoenix looks pretty solid here. I know they're missing Ayton, but no worries. Spurs, on the other hand, are 20th defensively. So, if according to the early Vegas lines, the Spurs keep it close enough, you have lots of options there. Chris Paul, Devin Booker, of course, as the pay-up guys. Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, and JaVale McGee would be the guys I would look at as the cheaper guys, a little bit more value there from the Suns. So I wouldn't mind having some Suns exposure. I don't want to overdo it in this matchup, but I think that it makes perfect sense. Spurs, on the other hand, I'm not going to pay that max price on Murray. He is awesome. He is a triple-double waiting to happen, but he plays that Suns defense and Chris Paul, so not going to go there. Derek White's back. Last game he was back. He shot the ball well, so he's a little bit cheaper option. After that, though, you've got Jakob Poeltl. He missed the last game, so if he's back, he's in play a bit. But if he's out again, you've got Landell possibly stepping in, but he'll be backed up and probably get just mid-20s minutes. So let's see if Poeltl's back in. After that, I don't know. I mean, you got so many guys, like McDermott and Johnson and Walker, just guys that just don't get it done. And on a slate this size, I would not recommend going anywhere near those guys. All right, last game, 12 up, 12 down. Here we go, 10:30 p.m. Utah Jazz 29-14, LA Lakers 21-22. You have Butler, Hughes, and Whiteside out for Utah. Howard and James are probable, which is stunning that James is probable. I say that every show, and because that's what it is. Carmelo Anthony, I'm sure you'd appreciate that. Carmelo Anthony, questionable. So, there's some usage off the bench, so we'd like to have that news. Davis and Nunn remain out. Utah has the 11th pace in the league. Lakers 7th, so you've got some solid pace in this game. Defensively, middle of the pack, Utah 13th. They've sunk down a bit, and the Lakers 15th, right square in the middle. Utah's a 4.5-point road favorite, so it makes this game a little interesting here. You certainly can go on the cheap with some of these guys, Conley, Bogdanovich, O'Neal. there should be some decent amount of minutes in there for those guys. You can pay up for Mitchell, who plays the Lakers well. This could be a good spot for him, but he's a bit expensive. Rudy Gobert on that also, how many minutes is he's going to play? I don't know if he gets the full run yet, but he's always an option, but a little expensive. Wouldn't recommend Westbrook, but I say it every day because I know it's going to happen. One of these games, he's going to put up like a 25-point triple-double, but I'm not going to risk that by any stretch. I don't know why his price doesn't just plummet with the way he's been playing, but he's still expensive. Malik Monk has been solid, but shows little bits of inconsistency. LeBron, certainly one of the better pay-ups. He gets some Royce O'Neal defense, which is respectable, but LeBron certainly always one of the best pay-ups since Anthony Davis has been out. And for the last month, he's just played terrific, as everybody knows. So one of the solid pay-up options. If you want to go big, Dwight Howard may start the game because of Rudy Gobert. But again, consistency minutes, what are we going to get out of him? It's always a possibility of a real trap. Plus, you never know, tease or what he's going to do. Very tough guy to depend on. After that, it'd be nice to know if Carmelo Anthony's going to play, because then, some of the bench guys become more of an option. But if he's in, he's going to take a lot of those shots in the second unit. But really, other than James, I don't feel real strong about anybody except Monk. I think is a good option as a second guy. All right, my friends, that is it. I am tired. It has been such a busy day here at Coach Talk. Really appreciate everybody listening. Appreciate our members. It's going to be a really fun basketball day. I cannot wait to plop in front of the TV and catch tons of basketball. Then we have the Monday night game, playoff game tomorrow. That'll be a lot of fun as well. So thank you so much for listening in. My next podcast will be on Wednesday. Tuesday, Andrew has a real tough slate, 2 games, but hey, it is what it is. But he's got the 2-game slate on Tuesday with the podcast, and I'm sure that he'll have some great insight there. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful MLK Day. Hopefully a lot of you have the day off and you can really enjoy some hoops. Thanks again. Really appreciate all of you. And we'll be back. I'll be back Wednesday, but Andrew will be back again tomorrow when he looks to crush it in NBA DFS.